Hey guys, welcome back. Now today we are going to go into a little more detail about the job system. I see plenty of questions that still arise about the new changes to the job system, what classes I should choose, what goes best with each character. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of the stats or the staffs and the attacks and spells that you can get with each of the job systems and which ones seem to pair better. Now right off the bat, there is no right or wrong answer to this. It's based on whatever you feel like is going to be a good combo, however your playstyle is, and from there you can kind of experiment. Now everyone kind of has a better starting stat with their starting weapons. You can kind of choose their class and job systems based off of that. But as far as your second job system, you can kind of vary with that, but you don't want to pick something where it's going to be a waste, such as light armor and light armor on top of each other. Like, there's no point in, you kind of want to get the benefit of either you can switch from light armor or to heavy armor. Someone with, mage stats and can possibly benefit from heavy armor as well. So from here, we're going to go into details. Now you cannot access the license board for the second job system in each one of your characters until after the Wraithwall Tome and you kill Belius. Once you get him as an Esper, you're able to access this at any point. From there, now I'm just going to tell you guys my setup. This is just based on how I felt at the time and what I wanted to kind of play around with. With Vaughn, I chose the Ulan, which was the Spear class, and the Red Battle Mage, which also can equip staffs and maces, and play around with the White Magic and Black Magic, and a couple of other magic spells that kind of give him more of a benefit. Now, I chose Vaughn for the Spear attacks because it's kind of a heavy damage. He can also equip heavy armor, so it kind of makes him into a tank, and from there I wanted a little bit more support to help out my White Mage, which is why I chose the Battle Mage, because Vaughn has some pretty good stats for the healing magic, so the White Magic was a good benefit to it. So I kind of fall back on him to do damage, but to also heal when needed as well. Now for Balthier, I chose to go with the Machinist, which is more of a archer and guns play class, and from there the second one I chose was the Time Battle Mage, which benefits from crossbows. The reason I chose the Time Battle Mage was because he already had stats into guns, and I kind of wanted to keep him the same as a ranged character, which led me to the crossbow class of the Time Battle Mage, where he can also benefit from some of the spells known as Disable, Immobilize, Stop, Slow, Reflect spells. The Time Battle Mage plays around with the time spells and haste and slow and haste to gun, all that stuff. So from a range, he can play as a far mage in that aspect, so it kind of keeps him from a safe distance. He's also sort of a DPS in that mix. For Fran, I chose to start off with the archer, which gave her the benefit of bows and light armor, and then I chose the Bushi as her second class just because I wanted to see Fran wield a katana pretty much. There was really no benefit to it. I wasn't feeling her as an archer, so I switched over to the Bushi as the second one. Now quick thing, once you guys choose your job systems for any one of your characters, even your second ones, you cannot change it back at any point in the game. There is no point system to where you can kind of like recall everything and then do it all over at a later point in the game. Once you choose your job system in your class, that is final. Then you gotta play that until the end of the game, that or you're gonna have to restart your game. For the archer, you have the benefit of the bow, so you can keep Fran at range, or you can wield her as a katana, swing and freak. And she also benefits from some of the attacks, some of the heavier attacks. She has similar attacks to the Foebreaker Knight with the Bushi class, but she also has a couple of magic spells. She doesn't really do well with the black magic from the Bushi or the archer, but the white magic's decent for Fran, so you can also use her as a backup white mage. Now for Bosh, I chose to stick with him as a knight just because I believe when he started he already had a sword and a shield, so the knight kind of just went hand in hand with that. And then for the second, I kind of wanted to keep his class the same. I didn't really want him messing around as with light armor. I wanted to keep him as a tank and high tank at that, so I chose the Foebreaker as the second class. So that means with the knight he could play around with the swords, and then as the Foebreaker you could either switch over to maces and hammers and have the ability to use a shield to deflect and block attacks. Now for Ash and Penelo, the two starting out classes that everyone seems to do is either a white mage or a black mage for either one of the characters. They start off with higher MP and a dagger and some of the weapons that you have access to as a mage. So if you guys want, I guess, the full potential and benefit from what classes to choose for those two girls, probably go with the black mage or white mage. Now again, there is no right or wrong answer. You don't have to choose that way. But for Ash, I chose to stick with the black mage, so she's going to be a very high powered DPS mage using, you know, the fire, blizzard, thunder, arrow, aqua attacks. From there, her secondary, I chose to do a monk. So with the black mage, you're going to have access to these the staffs, and then the monk, you're going to have access to either being unarmed and getting a benefit damage bonus from that, or you can use poles as well. And with the monk, you also have the access to a couple of other spells, but really the monk's kind of focused on DPS, so you can mix in the DPS with elemental DPS. She can also play far away with her staffs if you don't want her to get in close with her DPS ability with the monk. Now for Penelo, last but not least, was the white mage. I chose to go with the Shikari, just because I like the fact that Penelo had the use of daggers and ninja swords. I feel like that goes really well with the white mage, where you can get in DPS, but you can also play her safe as a white mage, since that's the one character you're going to kind of protect over everyone else. And I kind of like the combo. I've played with them. I mean, I'm past midpoint in the game with these combinations now, so I kind of get a feel for them. And all the combinations that I chose, I feel pretty comfortable with. The one I don't feel like is probably the weakest out of the 6 was my Machinist and Time Battle Mage combo, but I think once I get to some of the higher magics for the time magic, he'll pick up from there. Now as far as using these, you always want to use a tank character, or you know, someone who's going to soak up some damage, and then you want to use either DPS or some type of mage, and then your last one, because you can only use a party of 3, would either be another mage or a ranged character. And if you go from 3 to 3 with these combinations, you can, you know, keep 2 pretty well stacked parties to where you can level one party up and then go ahead and level the other 3 up, and you can switch back and forth while really having to worry about, you know, oh, I left one of my strongest characters in the other group. This one's going to be a little weaker. Now, as far as the actual license board itself, when you have chosen one job system, you're going to see a board back in the original version. You're going to have a large board where it has a combination of all the job systems on one. This one gives you a little more of a specific route with each one, where you can only get so much on that one board, and then once you get your second job system, it combines, but anything you chose on the first license board will carry over to the second. And you will notice that there is a little bit of a change, but you can see all your skills are still accessed. And from there, you can just kind of go down your route. You can either go ahead and start putting points into your second job, or you can go ahead and continue with your first one and max that out. Doesn't really matter. You can get to some of the higher end LP required skills or weapons or accessories or armor fairly quickly, especially with the battle speed update, where you can either double it or quadruple it. So that way you can farm for LP very quickly, and from there you should be able to max out one of them fairly soon after you get your second job system. Not all the way, but you'll have access to a lot of the higher ones, so that way if you either want to save for those, you can, or you can go ahead and start working on your second job system. So it's a nice little balance, and it's a smooth transition once you choose your second job system from there to kind of like work in either your original job and just stick with the skills you already know, or start playing in some of the second job systems skills and abilities. But from there, there's really not much else. I mean, you guys just kind of have to play it around. You can again switch up everything. I mean, for instance, if you guys remember, I chose for Vaughn the Ulan and the Red Battle Mage. I could have easily made him a Time Battle Mage. I don't feel like it would have made that much of a difference. It's just whoever I would have had as a Red Battle Mage as my second job system, I would have had him as a backup White Mage. So you guys can experiment with it. I know there's some guys out there with what they think is going to be the best job combinations. There really isn't one, but if you want to follow a guide and you're kind of nervous about it, by all means go for it. But for a fairly new player, I'd say stick to the guide, or just kind of go all out and play it however you want to. I played the original version, barely remember a thing because that's one of the few that I never finished. Now when I came back to the second version of this remaster, I'm loving it again. So I feel like from here, I don't really have any knowledge, but once I started it up, it's fairly easy to pick up on. So you guys shouldn't be scared or worried about picking up the right second job for your character. Just play around with it, see what weapons you kind of want to work with side by side. If you want to stick with the same armor, if you want to try something a little different, just go for it. But from there, that's it. No new changes. Your espers are going to be put on the license board as soon as you have access to them. You can buy them for whatever character you want to use them on, and then you'll have access and be able to summon him as soon as you have enough disc power. So that's it for this video. Hopefully this kind of clears some things up. I felt like there were really nice changes to the job system to where it made you have to pick forcefully to where you can't change it. But at the same time, no matter what you chose, I think the developers made it to where it didn't matter what you chose. Whatever choices you made, they would be okay, and you'd still be strong enough and you'd be able to grind up enough to where you should be able to get through the rest of the game and the side bosses and side dungeons and all that without too much of an issue. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and give you guys a little more insight on how everything works. Let me know if you guys have any issues or if you guys have any other questions about some of the job combinations. I'll try to help you out. But that's it for this video. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed or learned something from this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.